Hello everyone.
Hello. Hello,
Good
ma'am.
evening,
Good
ma'am.
evening.
Good evening.
Hello sir. क्या honor है मेरे लिए to be a speaker with you. My God, big honor.
Thank you.
Sir, good evening.
Thank you, Anuradha, Dr.
Thank
Preeti,
you.
Dr. Purvi to was there right from the beginning. So we are going to start in some time or now?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
we are going to start now.
Okay.
So, good evening all. I welcome you all on the behalf of Indian Fertility Society of Chhattisgarh chapter for the Core Connect live show supported by Arush, Division of Corona Remedies. Master of Ceremony for the today's event is Dr. Purvi Agrawal from Raipur. Dr. Purvi Agrawal is MBBS DGO DNB in Fetal Medicine. She is consultant and director of Krishna Fetal Medicine Center, Raipur. She is practicing exclusively fetal medicine since 2018. Executive Committee member of Society of Fetal Medicine Chhattisgarh chapter. Executive Committee member of Indian Fertility Society. Certified Foxy ultrasound trainer. She is member of RCOG Foxy. She is member of JCI Medicocity. She is having many publications on her name. Over to you, ma'am, for the further proceeding.
Thanks a lot. I welcome everyone. Good evening to everyone. For the first welcome address, I would like to invite our highly energetic Dr. Prakriti Verma ma'am. Ma'am is the director of Vardhan ICSI and IVF Center, which is the first IVF center of Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. She's a consultant, infertility specialist and a laparoscopic surgeon, Care and Cure Super Speciality Hospital, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. Ma'am is also ex-consultant of Wockhardt Fortis Hospital, Mumbai. She is a secretary of CG, Indian Fertility Society, 2022 to 24, joint secretary IFS 22 to 20 to 22, treasurer IFS 19 to 20, secretary Foxy 2015 to 16, clinical secretary of Foxy Bilaspur 2014 to 15, member of IMA and Gynecologist Association of India. She also had distinction of producing first ICSI baby of Bilaspur in July 2012, producing the first twins ICSI baby of Bilaspur in 2013, achievement of first surrogate mother pregnancy in 2013 in Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. She has done presentation on PCOS as Yuva speaker in Foxy Bilaspur in 2011 and 12, presentation of in 2012 and 13 in Foxy Bilaspur. She's also been panelist of IFS and CME in 2013. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Purvi, for a nice introduction. Good evening and very warm welcome to all of you. First of all, I would like to welcome our guest speakers, Dr. Pankaj Talwar sir and Dr. Shivani Gaur ma'am, and our chairpersons, Dr. Abha Singh ma'am. I think because of unavoidable reason, she will not be here today. And Dr. Preeti Agrawal ma'am, Dr. Surveen ma'am, and Dr. Anuradha, our quiz master, Dr. Sushma Verma ma'am, and Dr. Purvi, our MOC. On the behalf of IFS Chhattisgarh Society, I would like to welcome all. The Indian Parliament recently passed two landmark acts, the ART bill and surrogacy regulation bill, both of which have a strong impact on Indians' women's reproductive rights and health. Idea behind the new legislation is to regulate and supervise the ART clinics and surrogacy and curb the unethical practices related to issues like sex selection and exploitation of the surrogate mothers by imposing both monetary penalty and jail by terms of violations. So what this act is and how this will be implemented, there are so many drawbacks and confusion related to this act. So Surrogacy Act and ART bill. So now today we are here to listen our stalwarts of infertility, Dr. Pankaj Talwar sir and Dr. Shivani Gaur ma'am. We again warm welcome to all both of you. And now it's over to you, Dr. Purvi. You can invite the chairpersons.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. For our first session on updated surrogacy bill of 2022, I would like to invite our highly spirited and dazzling Dr. Preeti Agarwal ma'am. Ma'am is director and HOD of Arogya Hospital and Test Tube Baby Center, Raipur. She's a laparoscopic surgeon and an infertility specialist. Ma'am is associate professor at Sri Balaji Institute as well. She is chairperson of CG chapter of ISAR, organizing chairperson of 6th National ISAR Embryology Conference, organizing co-chairperson 4th Annual State Conference and Zonal Conference of IMS, executive member of Raipur Obs and Gynae Society 2022 to 24, prime investigator of Registry on Primary Ovarian Insufficiency. She has conducted live workshops on laparoscopy and hysteroscopy service since in 2014 and 2016. Ma'am is also ex-associate professor of Pandit JNM College, Raipur, vice president and executive member of Raipur Obs Gynae Society. She has more than 20 publications in her name in various national and international journals. She has also written chapters in books and peer reviews in various journals. Ma'am is also recipient of Kamini Rao Yuva Foxy Oration Award 2008, Swasthya Ratna Award 2017-2019, Excellence in Women Empowerment 2022, actively involved in UG and PG teaching for the last 20 years. Ma'am is also an active member of Foxy, IMA, IMS, IAGES, and SOVSI. Very warm welcome, ma'am. I would also like to request you to please introduce our speaker for the session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Purvi, for your kind words. And it gives me immense pleasure to be part of this webinar. And I think Pankaj Talwar sir might be remembering me. Sir, due to some accident which happened to you, we were unable to meet you in our conference. But today, sir is Director Medical Services, Birla Fertility and IVF, Director Birla Institute for Fertility Sciences. He is President-elect Indian Fertility Society. He is CEO of ICH India, Founder, Secretary, Fertility Preservation Society of India, member of Infertility Committee Foxy, awarded Vishisht Seva Medal by President of India for working in the field of infertility. He is Associate Editor of FSR, more than 100 publications, experience of setting up 10 ART centers, experience of 14,000 ovum pickup and embryo transfer cycles, trained in human embryonic stem cell derivation, Israel, trained in ovarian cortex freezing, fertility preservation, Paris, trained in PGD, Germany and Spain, and trained in QA, QC, Spain, and edited 8 books. Wow. So welcome, sir, and I request you to please proceed with your talk.
Well, thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you so much for this kind introduction. I am really touched and honored. I'm also honored to be with Dr. Prakriti, Dr. Purvi, and our own Dr. Shivani Gaur, who's an authority on third-party reproduction. And it'll be, and I'm sure we're all going to enjoy her talk too as we move ahead. So without taking much of your time, I'll try to share my presentation. And I'm going to speak about the Surrogacy Act. I think the authority on surrogacy is Shivani here. She does so much of surrogacy. I mean, she's the pioneer of surrogacy in our country. So, but I'll make an attempt to take you through the whole journey, how surrogacy began. So, regards and a big hello to all the delegates who are present across the screen. I can't see you all, but thank you so much for joining us in such large number. Topic for me today is talking about updated surrogacy bill of 2022. So this is actually the surrogacy bill which came in 2021. That's the way the journey began, and that's the way I'm going to start. I'll be covering my talk under the following headings. I'll talk about basics of definition. I'll talk about some surrogacy rules. I'll talk about the whole registration process and how we are being put on the tight railguard by the government of India. So how did this whole story began? So before we move ahead, you must know that we have got something called Gazette. It's also called Rajpatra. Rajpatra or Gazette always comes with the symbol of Ashoka's emblem. So whenever we get this emblem somewhere, it's certified by the President of India. He's given the permission for this printing. So it was a Christmas gift to all of us. And it was on 25th of December of 2021 when we got the Surrogacy Act in place. And this Surrogacy Act was passed by the Ministry of Law and Justice. And the number given to this act was 47. The number given to the act of ART, which Dr. Shivani is going to cover for you, is number 42. And this act is Act 47 of 2021. This has around 19 pages and it came into force on 25th December 2021. That's the way the whole thing started. Now, after any act is declared, then the government declared some rules to run that particular act. So here we talk about the rules of running the Surrogacy Act. So rules came in month of March 2022. That had around 69 pages, and that's the way it looks like. So we came midway, and then there were some representations. We all represented, all the bodies represented. Finally, we got some more modified version, a more diet version, and that version is called notification. Notification, as I've told you, rules come by the joint secretary or a secretary, but the notification again came with the Rajpatra or the Gazette. That you can see, that's the way. So when the act is notified, it means that it is nothing returning back until something big happens. So now we are with this act, which has been notified, and notification came on 21st of June. This notification has around 22 pages, and I think if you just go through them, it'll make your life very simpler. Very frequently, we find that a large number of us, we are going to multiple webinars and trying to learn. But I tell all of you that you're so sharp and intelligent. Just download these 8, 10, 15 pages, keep them with you, and you're done with. You don't need to attend any conference or webinar thereafter. So around 10 pages of the Act of 47 and around 10 pages of the notification are good enough to take you through the whole process. We had some hurdles, and hurdles are more in surrogacy as compared to the ART. Surrogacy, we are still on the fence line. We are still not started surrogacy because we have certain issues coming up till yet. But let's move ahead and see where we are now. I won't define surrogacy here, that you already know. We had two types of surrogacies in our country, all over the world. One is altruistic, other is commercial. When you talk about an altruistic surrogacy, it means that there is no charge, as you can see here, there is no charge, no expense, no fees, or no remuneration or monetary incentive. So here, in altruistic, there is no remuneration or there is no incentive of any nature, barring the medical expenditure with which surrogate has to undergo, or maybe some amount of pampering by the couple, and that's it. But there is no incentivization. When we come to the commercial surrogacy, here we are somehow looking for reward, benefit, remuneration, monetary incentive in kind or cash. This is what the government actually removed. So there is no commercial surrogacy in our country now, and we are focusing on altruistic surrogacy. One thing which was already there from few years but not being followed is something called insurance. So now what government has done is that we have to take an insurance for a surrogate, and this will be done by the intending couples, and this insurance will be for 36 months. This means it's for nearly 3 years, and it has to be done from any IRDA approved authority, and that will be covering any loss to the surrogate, any health issues or any illness or death which may occur due to the process of surrogacy. Maybe delivery, maybe the process. The insurance is the one which is actually creating chaos because we still don't have appropriate insurance for surrogates in our country. So some companies have come out, but we need more clarity on that. Surrogacy by definition is the one in which a surrogate will carry the baby of some other couple, and then after the baby is delivered, the baby is now returned back, handed back to the intending couple in a very formal way. Where we work to do surrogacy is called surrogacy clinic. Gentlemen, ladies, we have two things. We have got a level 1 clinic, that is an IUI clinic. Then we have got level 2 clinic. Level 2 clinic can be an ART clinic where we carry out IVF, or it can be a surrogacy clinic. So in case you are having an ART clinic, you have to register separately for the surrogacy clinic. Surrogate mother, we know, is a woman who's doing it for altruistic reasons and bearing the child for some other couple. And then the baby is handed back to the intending couple as per the paperwork. That's the way the surrogacy moved. And now I'll try to focus more on 21st June, key points on notifications. What are the indications for surrogacy? Now, there's some time back, I think Dr. Shivani will agree with me. She does a lot of surrogacy. We also do surrogacy. Initially, doing a surrogacy was our prerogative. We could decide that we'll do surrogacy for a particular couple. And that actually brought some problem in our country because it was being done for non-indicated reasons. And our country had become a surrogacy capital of the world. We were doing well, but some debates came up. And as a result, government came up with the Surrogacy Act. So now what happens here is there have to be some criteria for entry in surrogacy. They are called the eligibility criteria. They are eligibility criteria and they are essentiality criteria. So both for the people who want surrogacy, they have to earn surrogacy. We just can't do surrogacy for anybody by our own. And once we advise somebody a surrogacy, that document has to be signed as per the consent form by the surrogacy board at some particular level. That's the entry point. So no longer we can carry out surrogacy for a girl or for any woman or an intending couple by ourselves. We can advise, but the permission will come as per the consent form, which I'll be showing to you very, very soon. Same way, for a surrogate, nobody can become surrogate on its own by itself. It has to be altruistic, and they have also actually to earn being a surrogate. And there are certain entry points for a surrogate to become a surrogate, and that also I'll be covering for you. There has to be a psychological test, age barriers, family background, many things have to be checked. So keeping that in mind, let's see what are the entry points for a couple before they enter into a surrogacy agreement. So in case you are sitting at surrogacy clinic or you're offering somebody a surrogacy, these are the medical indications of carrying out a surrogacy for a couple. So they have to be having either an abnormal uterus, definitely yes, we can go ahead. They may be having a repeated failure to conceive or multiple failures or multiple abortions. It can be RIF, as they have written here, multiple losses, or any illness, maybe a cardiac illness or maybe renal or hepatic illness by which the woman cannot carry a child. Maybe cancer. That makes it her indication of applying for surrogacy. And besides that, the ages have been defined. The age for the surrogate, the age for the intending mother is somewhere between 23 and 50 years of age, and for the male it is between 26 and 55 years of age. That's the age bracket which the government has given. 23 to 50 and 26 to 55. That's the entry point for any intending couple or the commissioning couple to undergo surrogacy. Now, coming for surrogacy notification, another important point is what are the prerequisites for a surrogate mother? Can anyone do surrogacy? Can anyone become a surrogate mother? No. So for somebody becoming a surrogate, no woman, just read here, no woman other than a ever married woman. This means ever married means that probably that woman was married sometime in her lifetime, but maybe now she is separated. But an ever married woman means that once in a lifetime she was married, having a child of her own. She should be having one child of her own and age between 25 and 35 years of age. On the day of implantation, can become a surrogate, and that's the way we look for. These are the entry points for a surrogate to become a surrogate for a couple. Any woman cannot do surrogacy more than once in her life. Only once in a lifetime she can do surrogacy. The number of attempts on her will be 3, as you can see here, and no woman shall act as a surrogate by providing her own gametes. This is very, very obvious. That's not the part of an oocyte donor, not of a surrogate. So important thing here is, which has come up now, is that a certificate of medical and psychological fitness that has come. Without this, we cannot take anyone in the surrogacy program. So prerequisites for surrogacy, an eligibility certificate for intending couple. I'll be showing you this certificate. I'll spend around 5 minutes on the consent forms of this whole act. So there has to be an eligibility certificate. It's very, very important. Consent of the surrogate mother as per Form 2. Multiple forms are there. We have around 15 forms before we enter the surrogacy. The number of embryos to be transferred is always 1, but it can go till 3 in case required. But they say we should only do a single embryo transfer, and then they come under the MTP Act. And even if in case they have to undergo an MTP, they have to go as per the consenting and as per the government guidelines. Insurance cover, I have told you, is the big thing nowadays. And this insurance is for 36 months. How much money the government has not specified. That is as per we are aware, government has not given any number to it till now. And it should be covering every complication of pregnancy and surrogacy. Postpartum delivery complications are covered here. 3 years the lady has to be insured. Not living here, government has said that there has to be an affidavit signed by the judicial magistrate or a metropolitan magistrate. He's gonna swear in that whatever paperwork has been done, the paperwork is correct. So now look at two things. Initially, in our times, till few years back, we could just get any surrogate, either on payment or some relative. Now it's a close relative, initially an altruistic. Some years back, it was commercial. Get any commercial through a bank, commercial surrogate through the bank, start doing her case, and there was no insurance required, no permission from the judicial magistrate was required. Now all things have come up, making the job pretty difficult. Number of surrogacy procedures are 3. Consent of the surrogate mother is as per the Form 2, and number of embryos, as I told you already. I brought certain conditions again because they're very important. Is 1, but maximum 3 embryos can be transferred in any woman. The surrogacy clinic or the regulation rules, what do they say? They say that we have to apply for registration as per Form 3, and we need to pay rupees 2 lakhs. That's important. Even if you're doing IVF at your unit, we have to register by paying 4 lakh rupees. 2 lakhs for IVF clinic and 2 lakhs for surrogacy clinic. The period, manner, and form of certificate of registration. So there are some forms along which have been given. You have to apply as per those forms. And then after we get the permission from Government of India, we will display those certificates of registered surrogacy clinic, very, very like a PND certificate in your clinic. Appeal. Now, in case any surrogacy clinic intending woman or a couple may within a period of 30 days from the date of receipt of communication relating to the order of rejection of the application, suspension or cancellation of the registration by the appropriate authority under Section 13, they can appeal against the ruling of the government. So this is a form for appealing. The form for appealing is Form 5. So what I want to tell you here is that there are different forms for the ART Act, different forms for Surrogacy Act. Form 5, in case you talk about Form 5 is a grievance form. When you talk about an ART Act, that's what Shivani is going to talk to you today. And that grievance form has become Form 5 here, which is called an appeal form. So number remains the same, but that's a grievance and this is appeal. So the manner in which the units will be inspected, we can have an inspection anytime, and any like a PCPNDT, we are already having our inspections. Somebody can come and inspect our unit. They can come without any notice during the working hours, and they can come to our clinic and they can carry out our survey. What are the staff requirements for a surrogacy clinic? Same as level 2 clinic, not much of a difference. 1 gynec, 1 anesthetist, 1 embryologist, 1 counselor. And then we need director and andrologist. Full-time or optional. Director is not required, definitely optional. And andrologist, in case you have, is always a good choice, but it's a part-time. The qualifications of the gynecologist, this is as per the schedule part 1. So this is called this is schedule along with the section. This was schedule part 1 gives us about the qualification of the doctors and the other staff, and the qualification of the gynecologist. I think we have heard it many times. Basically, we just know that we need 50 OPU procedures and we need around 3 years of experience. Or we have a degree or an MCH, but there again they demand for 3 years of experience. Or the easiest way to enter an ART clinic nowadays is that we need to get a PG degree with PG in Obs and Gynae with experience not less than 3 years of working in an ART clinic. So in case we have something of that nature, where we have a PG degree, a small fellowship from somewhere, and we are working in a clinic for around 3 years, I think we can apply to become part of level 2 clinic. Here, the fellowship has not been defined, but that's the easiest way to do IVF in our country and in the present era. That's what the rule says, and this is as per the schedule, part 1 of the schedule, which is given actually on page number 28 of the ART Act. Then there has to be an andrologist. It's got basically a urologist who's qualified in andrology. Then we have criteria for an embryologist, which applies to all the units. Things have become pretty difficult, but definitely, yes, we have to follow the guidelines. Now, the surrogacy clinic, one thing very important here is that we have to have a very formal counselor. A counselor who has experience in counseling in ART is what is recognized. We just can't have anybody coming and counseling about ART and surrogacy in our clinics. We need to get a graduate in psychology or clinical psychology or nursing or life sciences. Only then they can do some work. Anesthetist is yes required, a part-time. A director is required, yes, a part-time. What all equipment are required for your clinic? Nothing much. They have made things very simple. They don't need any alarms. They don't need any air handling units. Only one thing which has been added is the sperm counting chamber, which barely costs 8 to 10,000 rupees. This is what you need in a routinely working lab, and you can start your ART clinic or an surrogacy clinic. We need 2 incubators, 1 microscope, and these many things. So I think any unit can start doing IVF. Government has made regulations very simple for all of us. Now, in the next 5 minutes, as I end, I'll take you through the consent forms. Important here is to understand what are the consent forms, and consent forms are to be kept properly labeled, documented in a medical record retention room. So we have to have an MRD room. MRD rooms, normally it's a 100 square foot area which you need. That's the way we keep our files. So you can keep our files like this, or you have it completely digitalized, up to you. But files are made for the people. So I say that you should have an MRD like this. Along with this, you have a good hospital HIS system where all the details can be entered. But of course, you know that all the consent forms have to be hand signed. So they have to be kept in the medical record retention room. The records are to be maintained for 10 years. Before I go to the consent forms, something very basic. How do we register? So you go to a website which is called ART Surrogacy Registry. Just type these words and you'll enter the sign up section like this, and there you'll find we have National ART and Surrogacy Registry. You find this web page there. So what you do is just go there and start punching in whatever you want to punch in. You can, in case you want to go in for a surrogacy clinic, go to surrogacy, and then you can sign up. You'll get a password, then you log in with your own password, and this password cannot be changed later. So once created, it will be linked with your email ID. Enter the site, load the documents, and the whole thing is given here. Because the steps to do it is already given here. It's very simple. I think all of you, in case you have not gone to the National ART and Surrogacy portal, must go through it. It's very simple. It doesn't take much of time. I think it can be done. That's the way the sign up forms shows up. It takes around 15 minutes, not more than that. And then after we have signed up, then we get a small piece of paper, which you can actually print out, and they tell you where to submit that paper. They give you some appointments in your city. When the boards are set up in your city, they are normally set up somewhere along in the health ministry. You go to those people, submit these forms, and when you submit these forms, they'll give you a list of 8 annexures. There are 8 annexures they give to you, which you have to submit. It's a big file you have to make about your qualifications, about your clinic. That file is submitted, and then after file is submitted, they will either take 2 lakh rupees from you straight away, or they may come and inspect your unit and then take money. It depends upon the state laws. Health is a state works at a level of state. It's a state has got all the authority on it, so it differs from state to state. But you submit that file hard copy to a designated person, and then you'll be told to pay 2 lakh rupees within 48 hours, 72 hours. Once done, then they will come and visit your clinic, and then they'll probably, in case you're not meeting their marks, they will tell you to make some changes, and then I think that's it. That's the way we do it. Now coming to the consent forms. Remember, the consent forms for the ART, for consent forms for an ART clinic or as per the ART Act are different from the surrogacy clinic. This is one thing you have to know. So some forms are same, but majority are different. So just to give you some idea, we have got these 5 forms, and these are basically for the registration. These are for the registration, or they are for appeal. As I told you, form 5 is for the appeal. So for a couple who wants to get surrogacy done, any intending woman can get a divorcee, or a single woman, separated woman can get a surrogacy done. So that's the way they can apply. Form 2 is the consent of the surrogate mother and agreement for surrogacy. Then we have consent form for registration of the surrogacy clinic. Certificate government will give to you as per form 4. That's the way these forms are made, very beautifully made, and I will take you through a small journey. This is form 1. So what I tell you is that they are not very scary. So don't be afraid to go through these documents. I think any gynecologist who can carry out an hysterectomy, cesareans, who do such a good amount of work, read big books, please download these 10-15 pages, just go through them. Sit peacefully, take a pen in your hand, and just keep ticking things. It's very simple to do. So we have got the form 1. That's the way the form 1 will look like. And form 1 is signed by the intended father, intended mother. And they, at some places, may ask you about marriage certificate, so if applicable. So this is what for, it may not be applicable for a single woman. So this is for the surrogate mother, and the agreement for surrogacy is form 2. That's the way these forms have been made. Very well-defined forms are there. I think it'll give you a lot of insight. Please read once. And this form is signed by the surrogate mother and signature of the intending couple or woman. Now, since it is a close relative, so it's very simple. It's no longer, it was never anonymous as such. Form 3 I've told you. Form 4 I've told you. This is a form which you will get. This is a form you will get in case you qualify to be a surrogacy clinic. Here you have granted registration. You can put it in your clinic. You'll get a seal. Will again Rajpatra, Ashoka. You can put it anywhere in your clinic. Then you can work. This is valid for 3 years. This is what you have to know. After 3 years, you have to re-register. Now coming to form 5, I've told you. Form number 8, cancellation, suspension of registration of surrogacy clinic. This is what was told to by Dr. Prakriti some time back. This is one, in case they want, they can shut down or suspend our registry by the appropriate authority. This is form number 8. Then we have form 10A. This is for the Indian woman. We have initial form 1 for the intending couple. This is for the Indian woman, widow or divorced. They can apply for surrogacy. So this again, they can sign here as an intending mother, and then all these documents which are required can be given. Death certificate, proof of divorce and death certificate, they will ask from you. Form number 11, here comes the main game, where we have certificate of essentiality for intending couple. That it is essential for them. And gentlemen, ladies, it's not we who are signing it, it is signed by the sanctioning authority, which is above us. It's a declaration to be signed by the government servant, not by you and me. So that's the way things go. We have form 12. Here, there has to be a medical indication that why are we doing this? Initial form number 11 was essentiality, and this form number 12 is for medical indication. As I've written here, it's a medical indication. And then again, name of the medical office of district board. Things have become pretty difficult. And then we have order of parentage and birth affidavit. This has to be done And without this, actually, you may not get the permission at all. Here, look at the seal of the court. Surrogacy rule. So court will have to put the signature here, and only then you can proceed with surrogacy. Form number 13A, certificate of birth, has been very beautifully defined. Now there is no confusion. So we know how to move about it. Important thing is something like form 14, where we have certificate of medical and psychological fitness for surrogate. Nobody can become a surrogate on their own. And this again, please note, is signed by the RMP or a civil surgeon, not by you and me. So things have become pretty good, in fact. And then we have consent form for withdrawal. In case surrogate wants to withdraw, she just can't say, I'm not coming today. She has to fill form 16 and then do it. And then there is a certificate for eligibility for the intending couple. So there was a certificate of essentiality, medical indication, and then comes the eligibility certificate. Which is 3 certificates are actually required for that couple. Then there's an eligibility certificate for the intending woman. All the certificates are there, and you have to fill this form. Then the certificate for the surrogate, eligibility certificate for the surrogate, and they are signed by the appropriate authority. So after these all have been done, only then I think we go and enter the surrogacy. I think that's it from my side, and thank you so much for the patient hearing. In these around 25 minutes, I have tried to cover all the guidelines and whatever I could learn after going through these acts and rules and notifications I brought in front of you. And thank you so much for the patient hearing. I'm here to take any queries.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very wonderful hearing you. And I think after such a crisp presentation, there are no doubts about it. Very well.
Everyone.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
One doubt, sir, I have. I'm
Mhm.
Dr. Anuradha. Sir, in the bill, it was there for the surrogacy, we cannot freeze the embryos. We cannot keep freezing.
No. As I don't think there is anything. As per notification, nothing like this is there. Surrogacy के अंदर ऐसा कुछ नहीं.
Like you have told
Notification.
3 times.
Notification has not said that we can't freeze the embryos.
Okay. But
So,
previously
one more
they
thing.
were telling na only one time we can transfer for the couple, and we cannot keep freezing embryos.
As per the act, it is quite. As per the notification, it is quite. This part has not been covered. You may be quoting somewhere in the rules. They would have said this thing in part of the rules, but in the new notification of month of June, this thing is not there.
So we can freeze the embryos.
Embryos, as far as I know, embryos have to be frozen. See, we can't
otherwise,
the cycles. Embryos are frozen, and to take the permissions, embryos can be frozen. As far as I know, there is no embargo on freezing the embryos for the intending couples. Nothing wrong in it. That's why notification has kept quiet over this.
Okay, thank you, sir. One more question. If the surrogate is going for MTP, if at all there is like missed abortion or something, then it has to be like referred, or we can have to take care.
We have to take the consent of that surrogate. I've showed you the consent form. The signatories are mentioned there. The surrogate cannot go and get us MTP done by herself.
No. Yeah.
So she has to follow the consent. I think consent form number is 13 or 14. She has to go through the consent form and get her consent form has to be filled. Permissions have to be obtained from all the parties. Only then the MTP can be done. But MTP
we have to take consent from the authorities also,
exactly, sir? Exactly. Keep the authorities informed about this.
Okay.
So one more thing.
Yes.
As it is written that the gynecologist should take a training of at least in ART center before starting the clinic. Yes. So are there any different centers or any recognized center from there they can take training, or any center?
Government has kept very quiet. See, in case you look at the guidelines, one thing is very clear. They have brought in the clause of 50 OPUs everywhere. In 50 OPUs, they have tried to bundle up things like fellowship or an MCH. So when you do an MCH is normally for 2 or 3 years. Fine, after your time. Now, they say, or experience of 3 years, they bundled up a term called 50 OPUs everywhere. Now, this is schedule, the part 1 of the schedule, the part 1 of the schedule. That says in case you read on page 28 of the ART Act of 42 of 2021, that's the way on page 28, last paragraph is about OPUs. But you turn the page, go to page number 29, there's a paragraph on the top. There they have given a very nice entry point for all of us. They say, in case you have got a postgraduate degree, so postgraduate degree is supposedly MD, even DGO. DGO is also taken as postgraduates. They say you have done a fellowship. Now, what fellowship they have not defined? From where to do that fellowship they have not defined. How long is the fellowship they have not defined. But yet they have defined that 3 years of experience. See, government has done a beautiful thing. They have not said that you have to be working in an ART clinic level 2. They have said ART clinic. Fine. They have said 3 years of experience. All of you who are working in an ART clinic or some clinic, you have 3 years of experience. You're all doing IUIs. And in case you have some fellowship with you, from where the fellowship has to be done, how long has to be done, Indian Fertility Society has already written, and we all have written, but we don't have any answer. So I think the law is quite cool about that. And in case you have any fellowship of 1 year or even 6 months, you no harm in applying. And but you need 3 years of experience. This is very, very important. And you can apply for level 2 also.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So 50 OPUs goes. In case you go to page 29 of the ART Act of 42 of 21, then 50 OPUs clause goes because they've written in or there. People don't read that paragraph. So we are all roaming around in 50 OPUs, and that's the main reason of worry. But things are quite easier and comfortable for all of you using the clause of fellowship and 3 years of experience. In case you have a logbook, you have your some sort of employment letter. I think you can apply for level 2 clinic also.
What are the indications for transferring 3 embryos on a surrogate?
No, not mentioned, madam. They have, see, for as per the ART Act of 42 and 47 for surrogacy, they have always said transfer 1 embryo. Very clear likha. But in an exceptional cases, you can transfer up to 3. That's what I'm saying, ma'am. Qanun is a very beautiful thing. Qanun says something, and then what they have written, we have to follow that. But certain things they have not written. So, and I think we are all sensible people. Now, what do we mean by a couple who has got, who will go for 3 embryo transfer? Maybe a woman who's 42, 43 years of age or 44 years of age. Maybe a woman who's got multiple abortions. But I think we never transfer more than 2 embryos. Government has not given any indications of transferring 3 embryos. They've written transfer only 1, preferably. And in case in exceptional circumstances, 3 can be transferred. The government has left it open.
I feel it is day 3 transfer. If you do day 3 transfer, then
it's not mentioned.
It's not mentioned.
That's what I'm saying. Certain things are open. So I leave it to your wisdom. And I have brought before you. See, every month, every 2 months, we are seeing things going wrong with the people. So I've just told you how the law began, how the act came, how the rules came, and how the notifications came. Now it is notified. It's a Rajpatra now. Whatever they have written, we have to follow. And in case you read between the lines, yes, you can take advantage of that lacuna in the law. But I suggest that don't do that. In case you have a lacuna in the law somewhere coming, you please write a note, send an email to the support site. In case you go to the ART surrogacy portal, there is support at ART. Just send them a mail, and that goes to DHR. There are lovely people sitting there. There are around 6 scientists who are sitting there. They'll reply to you within 1 day. You have any doubt कि मैं करूं कि ना करूं? लॉ में तो नहीं लिखा है, तो मैं कर सकती हूं. पर आपको लगता है कि नहीं करना चाहिए तो मत करना. Just send a mail and get a response from them. That's the right way to. That's what we are doing at Birla Fertility. We want to keep our hands very clean.
Sir, one more doubt that they are given in allostatic. Allostatic means it is not like blood related or in very close.
Close friend, madam. Any close friend can also do.
If intended couples, they bring someone and we don't.
Correct. You're right. Pele it was blood. Pele it was open.
Blood.
I think Shivani can also cover this point because she's been in a lot of surrogacies. Pele it was open. Commercial. फिर आ गया close relative. उसमें आ गया blood relative आ गया. भाभी ननद कहाँ से लेकर आएंगे?
That's right.
Am I right, Shivani? This is my interpretation. Then came.
Yes, very true. Pankaj Talwar sir, when the close relative came, I was one of the people who was invited to the Rajya Sabha for the parliamentary committee. And we actually highlighted this point that the sister cannot carry the brother's baby. It is not going to be appropriate at all. So you have to remove the clause of this. It's just not logical. So then they understood, and that was removed.
Yes, thank you so much, Shivani, for that. So now it's become actually any altruistic means on non-incentivized. It इन शब्दों का हेरफेर है. It is non-monetary or non-monetary. Monetary तो altruistic के अंदर भी होगा. You'll pay some amount of money to the surrogate. No, it's monetary तो आना ही आना है.
आना ही आना है.
Non-incentivized. See, the word is non-incentivized. That's a term which comes with altruistic. So anyone who's closely known, it can be done. But still we don't have the clarity. How do you get a surrogate who will become a surrogate for you for altruistic purposes? कहाँ से लेकर आएंगे altruistic purposes? And what will the bank do? These things are in flux. I don't have any answer to it. No one has any answer to it. There are personal opinions, and our personal opinions and mine can be as good or bad as your personal opinions. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm done. Thank you very much for being with me, and I really enjoyed the company of the whole Chhattisgarh chapter, and lovely being here. Thank you.
We
Thank
also
you so much,
enjoyed, sir. Thank
we
you,
are
sir.
already.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Nice talk.
For our next session, which is the quiz, I would like to invite the lively Dr. Sushma Verma ma'am. Ma'am is an obs-gynae infertility specialist and a laparoscopic surgeon. She is director and consultant at Sarvodaya Hospital and Maternity Center and Test Tube Baby Center. Ma'am is treasurer of IFS CG chapter 22 to 24, treasurer Raipur Obs and Gynae Society 22 to 24, executive member of CG ISAR, former secretary Raipur Menopausal Society, organizing secretary of 2 annual state conference of Raipur Menopausal Society in the year 18 and 19. CIMP exam committee in charge of 22nd National Conference of Indian Menopausal Society, quiz committee in charge of annual state conference of Raipur Obs and Gynae Society 2019. She has also participated in various conferences as speaker, panelist, and chairperson. Her major field of interest is laparoscopic pelvic surgery and infertility and high-risk pregnancy. Welcome, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Purvi, for kind introduction. Now we are going to start the brainstorming session of quiz. And first of all, I want to tell the rules of the quiz. The rules are each question will be displayed for 15 seconds, and during which you have to read and answer the question. For delegates who join through 4Connect, kindly answer the question. Kindly answer after each question in the comment box below the video, and results of the quiz will be displayed after the panel discussion. So now we are going to start our quiz. The first question is, following are the functions of National Board except to encourage the research in the field of ART, to make measures to develop new policies in the field of ART, and to assist National Board in issuing guidelines, notification, and orders pertaining to ART, and to supervise the accreditation and regulation of services of ART clinic and bank of the respective state and union territories. Time's up. Answer is to supervise the accreditation and regulation of services of ART clinic and bank of the respective state and union territories. Next question is, ART bank can do all except screening, collection, and registration of semen donors, cryopreservation of sperm, intrauterine insemination, and screening and registration of oocyte donors. Answer is C, that is intrauterine insemination. Our third question is, sperm and oocyte donors should be tested for all except HIV type 1, 2, hepatitis A virus, hepatitis B virus, and hepatitis C virus. Time's up. Answer is hepatitis A virus. Our next question is, A gynecologist will be a medical postgraduate in obs-gynae with the following except record of performing 50 oocyte pickup under supervision of trained ART specialist with 2 years of training in a registered ART clinic, super specialist DM fellowship in the reproductive medicine, experience of not less than 3 years in reproductive medicine. Answer is with 2 years of training in the registered ART clinic. Our fifth question is, every application of registration shall be accompanied with the fee of rupees 1 lakh for level 1 ART clinic, rupees 2 lakhs for level 2 ART clinic, rupees 2 lakhs for level 1 ART clinic, and rupees 5 lakhs for a level 2 ART clinic. Answer is rupees 2 lakhs for level 2 ART clinic. So this is the end of our quiz, and the result of the quiz will be displayed after the panel discussion. Thank you so much for the organizing team for this quiz.
Thank you so much, ma'am. For our next session, session 2, what doctor should know about ART bill? I would like to invite the chairperson. Our first chairperson, Professor Savreen Guman Sindhu, full of life, sparkling, Senior Director and Head, IVF and Reproductive Medicine Center, Max Group of Super Speciality Hospitals, Panchil Saket, BLK Delhi and Gurgaon. Ma'am is Professor, School of Health Sciences, Ansal University. She has 32 years of clinical experience. She has authored various books, authored 9 books, 3 of which have been published internationally. She has over 80 publications in journals and books. Ma'am is Program Director for Fellowship in Reproductive Medicine at Max Hospital. She's Executive Editor, Fertility Sciences and Research Journal. Peer reviewer for Journal Systems Biology in Reproductive Medicine, Journal of Obs-Gynae India, Journal of IMA Positions in Academic Society. She has been Secretary IFS 22 to 24, Treasurer 20 to 22, Past Editor 18 to 20, and Web Editor 2012 to 16. Ma'am has also been Chairperson of Infertility Committee of AOGD 2018 to 20, Chairperson Reproductive Endocrinology Committee of AOGD 21 to 23. Very warm welcome, ma'am. I would also like to invite the vibrant Dr. Anuradha Tippewal Chaudhary, ma'am. Ma'am is a consultant in reproductive medicine. She is in Nova IVF Center, Raipur. She is an MD from SCB Medical College, Cuttack, and fellowship under the guidance of Dr. Purnima Nadkarni. Done certified course, CREST, Singapore, and diploma in ART, Dubai, under the guidance of Dr. Metler. Awarded with the prestigious CS Dawn Award in 2010 for the Best Paper Presentation. Received Best Paper Award in Critical Care Obstetric Conference in 2017, Ahmedabad. Has various publications on national and international journals. Ma'am has also authored various chapters in various books. And ma'am is also experienced in managing all kinds of infertility cases and handling many cycles of egg donation and surrogacy successfully with high-risk pregnancy. Very warm welcome, ma'am. I would also like to request you to please address the speakers for this session.
Ma'am, you are mute.
Thank you for the kind introduction. And thank you. It's a pleasure being with Chhattisgarh. Thank you, Prakriti, Anuradha, Dr. Abha.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening. So we have Dr. Shivani Sachdev Gaur, and she has a vast experience with surrogacy. She is the director of SCI Hospital, Clinical Research Fellow, Imperial College and Hammersmith Hospital, NHS Trust, featured in Limca Book of Records, Founder Secretary of Delhi State Chapter of ISAR, General Secretary INSTAR, General Secretary Delhi State Chapter ISPAT, ex-Vice President Delhi Gynae Forum, and Vice Chairperson of Women Doctors, IMA South Delhi. She's been doing surrogacy for a long time, and I think she's the right person to speak on these issues. Over to you, Shivani.
Ma'am, unmute yourself.
Shivani ma'am.
Yeah, sorry. My screen suddenly changed, Yeah, so thank you so much for a nice, such a warm introduction, Dr. Surveen, and my big respects to KD sir. Our president is not here, so Dr. Surveen, Secretary, Dr. Abba Singh, thank you, Dr. Prakriti, Dr. Anuradha, and our wonderful MOC, Dr. Purvi. So our president incoming, Dr. Pankaj Talwar, has given such a wonderful talk. Now I'm going to share some things about the ART bill, and just so that it is not overlapping, I have just taken out some of my slides because it will just become the same thing again. So the topic today is what should you know as a doctor. So I'm going to give a few practical points also at the end of the talk. And I always like to say, be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud. This is what all of us are IVF specialists, we are trying to do to bring rainbows into the life of our patients. Coming to the ART Regulation Act, very quickly going over definition. What is actually ART? All techniques which obtain a pregnancy by handling sperm and oocyte outside the body and then transferring the embryo or the gamete into reproductive system of a woman. So it includes IUI, IVF, but does not include follicular monitoring. So just be very particular about that because many people had a query about this. Now, what is the definition of ART clinic? Simply a premises which is equipped with the requisite facility, medical practitioners, as Dr. Talwar sir has already said.
May I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Ma'am, your slides are not moving.
Slides are not moving. In this thing, it is moving. Okay, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing.
And go to the slideshow, ma'am.
Yeah, I have done that. For me, the slides were moving. So let me just share it again.
Just share it again and share that slideshow view, ma'am.
See, I don't know. It says share.
Just click on share screen.
Yes.
Select that presentation which you need to share.
Yes.
Once we see the screen.
I know that I went on the slide.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are seeing on the bottom. Yes, ma'am. Click on that.
Now is it moving?
No, ma'am. It is not on a screen slide share view, ma'am. Actually.
Slide share. Shivani, slide share करो.
Slide share I'm doing. मेरे slides के लिए तो move हो रहा है.
नहीं मैम, slide share हो रहा है, but actually वो full screen नहीं हो रहा है मैम.
मेरे इसमें full screen हो रहा है, मैं क्या करूँ? I'll just do it again.
Yeah, ma'am.
So then you start clicking slide by slide. I think then it may come.
Share. What do you share? Oh God. Okay, I think there are a few windows open maybe because of that.
No, ma'am. No. It will make no issues, ma'am.
Okay, just give me a minute. I'm just going to share and then let's just see if this will work.
Yeah.
Doctor should know. So many times we have done Zoom and I've never faced any problem, but somehow sometimes. Okay, so share screen and this.
Select the presentation.
Okay, now it is on slideshow. Now is it moving?
No, ma'am.
Okay, click Shivani.
Just click on yes, ma'am. Now it is moving. No issue.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. We'll just do it this way because for whatever reason it is not showing, although it is moving at my end. So this is the definition of ART. So all techniques which attempt to obtain a pregnancy by handling sperm or oocyte outside the body. So just to specify that follicular monitoring has not come under this definition of ART. And ART clinic is, as Dr. Talwar has already pointed out, the premises with the facilities, the medical practitioners registered with NMC to carry out the procedure related to ART. A bank. Now, this is a bit controversial because here they have mentioned is an organization responsible for collection, storage, and supply of gamete directly to the patient or to the ART clinic. So when it comes to collection, whether it is for collection of oocytes or for sperm only is not very clear, because at another point they say that the collection has to be done in the ART clinic. Then this is the commissioning couple. So any couple who comes to you to commission ART is an infertile married couple. Very important. So unmarried couples are not included here in the definition of commissioning couple. Definition of gamete donor is person who provides sperm or oocyte with the objective of enabling an infertile couple or woman to have a child. And infertility itself, inability to conceive after 1 year of unprotected coitus or other proven medical conditions which prevent a couple from conception. So before you do ART, there has to be at least 1 year of unprotected coitus. That is how they have defined infertility. National board, we should all be aware, is a national ART and surrogacy board, both constituted under subsection 15 of Surrogacy Act. Separate from the board is something called as National Registry. Under this, we have the ART and Surrogacy Registry Board. Separate from this is something called as State Board, and separate from that is the appropriate authority. So there are these four main distinctions. The State ART and Surrogacy Board is to be constituted, and there is an appropriate authority appointed under the relevant section. Now, what is the definition of a woman according to this act? Anybody above the age of 21 years who approaches the clinic or bank to obtain the services. So no treatment under 21 years of age. They are very clear about this. Cryo shipping. Now, recently we have faced this problem. Somebody wants to cryo ship to us. Somebody wants to take away from us. But in this, it says, at least in Delhi, that you can transfer own gametes and embryos for personal use, but you need permission of not only state, but national board for doing this. Now, there are various gazettes which have come, and I will request that each one of you should have had a look who is doing ART through them. The first one, as Dr. Talwar pointed out, it was on 20th December. Then we had this rules which came out in March 22. Then we had a notification of May 4th. Then we had this notification of 13th May. Then we had another one on June 7th. And now finally, this is 4th of August, where we have come down to removal of difficulties order, where they say that in 17 states, you are allowed to conduct counseling or procedures pertaining to ART and surrogacy up to 24th October 2002, because the board is not formed. So you can continue doing the procedures as you were doing. Although you cannot ignore the law, you still have to follow all the, all the requirements laid down in the law. And ART technology, already I have defined the bank and the clinic. Now, also, apart from this, if you have a clinic, it is going to be your responsibility to give professional counseling about the implication or chance of success. You have to be very specific about this, about advantages, disadvantages, cost of the procedure, medical side effect, risks of multiple pregnancy, and then help the couple to arrive at an informed decision, which will most likely be best for the commissioning couple, and obtain a donor gamete only from the bank. So you cannot take a donor unless you involve the ART bank, and the bank has to ensure that the donor has been medically tested for diseases as may be prescribed. Upper age for doing ART in India is now 50 years for women and 55 years for men. The clinic and bank has to ensure that information about the commissioning couple has to be kept confidential, except to give it to the database of the National Registry or Medical Emergency or order of the court of competent jurisdiction. And grievance cell has become an absolute mandatory part. So every clinic has to establish this, and you have to have a manner of making complaints. So this is something that everyone has to establish. Now, we have to give a certificate, discharge certificate to the commissioning couples. We must put the details of the ART procedure, which is done in that. We have to make available our premises for inspection by national board or national registry or state board or appropriate authority periodically as may be required by them. The clinic has to collect eggs in a manner has been specified. Maybe they may specify a manner of egg collection also. No more than 3 oocyte or embryos into the uterus of a woman. So maximum 3 embryo transfer. Do not treat with gametes from more than 1 man or woman, and not to split the embryo for twinning. And of course, posthumous collection, first time found a mention in this bill, only if the prior consent is available. Now, where do we source our donor oocyte and semen from? It has to be done via bank. The patient can bring their own donor. Now, this is again controversial, but because everything is altruistic and the Aadhaar card is mentioned, so as per the lecture, Dr. Jitendra Sharma had mentioned, medical legal expert, that you can get your own donor also. The donor for semen has to be between 21 to 55, and for female, it has to be 23. Remember, this is not 21, it is 23. So just keep these numbers in mind. For egg donor, it is 23 to 35 years of age, and not more than 1 commissioning couple, and an oocyte donor is going to do egg collection only once in her lifetime. So if it doesn't work, they have to go for another oocyte donor, and not more than 7 eggs can be collected. And all the unused eggs have to be preserved to use on the same recipient. See, again, there is controversy. If you're collecting eggs, how many should you mention? Now, they have mentioned, Dr. Hitesh and Jitendra said you can mention only 7 oocytes because you're allowed to collect only 7 oocytes. And in those 7, if you have unused oocytes, preserve them for the same recipient or give it to research. So it is open to interpretation, but this is what they have specified. A bank has to obtain all the necessary information. So Aadhaar card has now become must, and the donor has to give an affidavit in writing. Along with that, the couple has to buy a general health insurance coverage in favor of the oocyte donor for 12 months from a company under IRDA Act for an amount which is sufficient to cover all expenses for all complications. There is no specification, as Dr. Pankaj also mentioned, for this. But what I know is Advocate Radhika had mentioned that she had written to the IRDA. I have seen the email, and IRDA had said that individual insurance companies are free to offer the policies. We don't have any national regulation as per this is concerned. Not only that, in a metropolitan, we all have to take the signature of either judicial first-class magistrate or metropolitan magistrate before doing any egg donation cycle, except in those 17 states, the point is ambiguous because they have not yet formed any board. But this is mandatory before doing any donor egg treatment. But remember, for donor sperm, you don't have to go to court. For donor sperm, you only need the signature of the donor. You need the ART bank affidavit, and you need Aadhaar card number, which is most important. Now, one more point to note, this was highlighted by a patient, so I'm mentioning that these codes are actually criminal codes. They are not civil codes. So all the patients who are doing egg donation, if they need this signature, they have to go to this criminal code. So, but it cannot be changed. This is what it is, and it has to be followed. Now, problematic for us here is the harsh offenses and penalties, where it says that if the child is abandoned, disowned, or exploited, we have to prove that it is not because of us, which is really something the onus has been put on ART specialists, and not sell human embryos, gametes, which is obviously, we know that, not run an agency racket for selling, purchasing, trading embryos, but you must not import human embryos exploit in any form. This is a very vague definition. Transfer embryo into a male person, a cell human embryo or gamete, and use intermediary to obtain gamete donor. So remember here, ART bank is not considered to be intermediary. It is mandatory, but any other intermediary to purchase gamete donors is not allowed. And as per this guideline, these are the forms. So when you're doing self-IVF, these are the forms you have to fill: 6, 9, 12 with egg donor, 6, 9, 12 of course, and 13 sperm donor form, donor embryo form, IUI with self sperm, IUI with donor sperm. These are all the forms that you need to fill. This is an example of the form. So Dr. Pankaj sir has also shown these are forms which are required for the insemination by the husband's sperm. Then this is another form where you have from the ART bank. And next we have these forms which is as per the rule 13, as I have mentioned, for egg collection. So this is the consent form for oocyte retrieval, consent form for freezing of embryo, consent for gamete, sperm, oocyte freezing. And this is the egg donor screening form. This is how the screening has to be done for egg donors. And then you have this affidavit of the donor. Many people had asked for this. So this is the affidavit that we are using, where the donor is certifying that she is her age and her ID proof, her marriage proof, and with the consent of her husband, and counseling by who, discussion with who. So this is the affidavit exactly that you have to use for the egg donor. This is the affidavit that the commissioning couple has to sign. That you have been informed as per this section that this is the insurance which is required, and you are taking this insurance coverage for the egg donor, and this is the format. You can use this format for your cases. This is in the guideline, the donor of oocytes, and this is the record how you have to maintain. And remember, in this form, it is even the recruitment date of the egg donor and the person who is recruiting. So here it will be the role of the ART bank that is going to come. So each and every egg, the record is going to be maintained. See this, each and every egg, each and every embryo, the progress record has to be maintained. Of course, this is a consent for the donor form. Now, something I put towards the end, which is very practical, and I found this very helpful in my, when I went through this. So this was posted on WhatsApp. See, when you have your ART clinic audit, because it is said that first they are going to audit for ART, then they are going to audit for surrogacy, and there is not going to be any changes. Maybe they will look at the application fees, but otherwise they are not going to be ready to accept any changes at all. So in the ART audit guidelines, the application form submitted by the clinic to whatever authority, a copy of the same should be there in your clinic. Verification of the details that you have given in the form has to be physically present. The staff has to be present. If it's not present, absence has to be justified. All the application form, all the certificates, you must have original and Xerox copies which are self-attested to be present. Gynecologist, does the number of staff match with the number that you have written in your application form? You have to justify it. You must have your medical council registration, all the highest qualification, experience certificate, that the number of oocyte retrieval or whatever procedures have been done, your validity, indemnity of all the doctors. For embryologists, the relevant degree, experience certificate, letter from head of department about the number of procedures done. For andrologists, the urologist with DNB or MCH only certificates should be there, and letter of the institute that he is going to visit, quantum of work that he is going to take, the counselor, full-time, the graduate degree from life sciences background, letter from HR with original, the director. If you have, then it has to be postgraduate in medical sciences, life sciences, original should be there, anesthetist, medical council registration certificates, and register from letter from the medical director or human resources about the number of centers he visits and the proof that he has done the procedures, not just shown for inspection. The list of your equipment, physical checks, functionality has to be verified. Make sure your equipment is working, the QC, log sheet, have a crash trolley ready, liquid nitrogen tanks, so that sample random identification sometimes is done. Consent forms from 1st January, make sure you are using all these consent forms. At least from July, All the new format and numbers have to be there. All the consent should be filled completely. So if there is nothing, please mark an X. Don't have any missing information. Keep it in order. All the relevant files, your old files, your IUI files, IUI with donor sperm, everything has to be in order. Aadhaar card xerox of all your patient investigation documents have to be there ready with the history sheet, all the follicular sheet, anesthesia, discharge summaries, treatment outcome, all in a file. This is what they are going to expect. Grievance cell, this form 5, as Dr. Pankaj Talwar sir was saying, has to be kept in the visible area. All your donors, you must have insurance. All your registers for IUI, donor sperm, husband sperm, OPU, FET, donor cycle, all the justification for treatment progress and tentative plan. How are you going to send it to enter in the national registry? Who's the person sitting down to type all that? Your PCPNDT certificate should be there. And in general counseling, how you are doing, there is the proof. So you need to have a form that this is a risk, a success rate, treatment procedure, right of the child born. Are you explaining that? Women age, main age, and confidentiality. Discharge certificate of all the procedures, ID for enrollment, justification that you are not transferring more than 3 embryos, embryo transfer report, and lab register. They want to counter check your lab document with the OPD and patient documents. So all this is coming, dear friends. Whenever the windmills of change blow, some people, winds of change blow, some people are going to build walls, other are going to build windmills. So we all need to be the ones who's going to build windmills. So thank you everybody for a very patient hearing. And before I go, I just want to show you, I cannot put this on my presentation because this is somebody's prescription, but I want to show you that this is the documents for egg donation. This is a checklist. This is a couple whose treatment we had done. We have now got Metropolitan Magistrate signature for more than 15 couples. So this is how we are making. It's almost 50 pages. This is the document for somebody who's doing egg donor treatment. So this is like the form 13 that we are signing. Then we have it in Hindi also. So remember, you must always print it in your local language. This is the same form 15 in Hindi. Then you need to have this kind of an affidavit. Okay. This is, what is this affidavit for? This is the affidavit for the ART bank for the egg donor and for the patient. So, yes. Yeah, so we have all these affidavits which are signed and stamped by the notary. Then after that, this is the information about the oocyte donor. So oocyte donor has to have all her details in here, her address. Then you have to have all her information, height, weight, everything. Then we are doing our pathology test. So you have to have all the test reports of the oocyte donor, which is going to be multiple test reports as you have mentioned. Now this is Star Health. Star Health insurance, this is where we have taken the insurance. I mean, the patient and the ART bank has taken the insurance policy for the ART bank. And this is, they give you a detailed insurance policy in this. They give an insurance card also. They give the payment receipt, the billing receipt for the insurance policy. They give you what kind of insurance it is. So this is a very detailed policy. Then you need to have the passport and the ID proof. Now these are foreigners. They were not Indians, this couple that I'm showing you. So they have to have this form C. You can do for foreigners also egg donation. There's no problem. You're getting the signature. This is form C. And then there are other forms as to where they are residing for foreigners in India, where they are staying. There is a declaration which is given by them. And after this, there is financial counseling. You need to have psychological, medical counseling. Make sure you have all these papers with you when somebody comes for inspection. The affidavit of the couple is there over here. And at the end, I want to show you, there is this signature by the Metropolitan Magistrate. So this signature is very important, that they have gone to the court and they have taken the signature from the Metropolitan Magistrate. So this is just the documentary paperwork. Then after that, you must have the medical paperwork of the couple, that why they are doing egg donation, and the IVF treatment records. So I just wanted to show what kind of documentation now we are under. It's really made our life difficult, but I'm open to any questions, and thank you so much for a very patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shivani. I think
you so
you were the best person to tell us all this, and you did it beautifully.
Thank you.
Over to my co-chair, Anuradha.
Very nicely explained, ma'am. One question I have, like previously we have form number I for the freezing of the embryos, but now there is no forms available that how many embryos are remaining or we are freezing, keeping freezed. So for that, should we continue to take the form number I signed by the couple or doesn't require?
Ma'am, please go through. I have in my PPT also put up. That is why I put up the forms, because there is so much confusion. Even Dr. Talwar sir will agree. Sir had also put up. Sir, please tell us about the forms. There are forms there everywhere for freezing.
No, like if embryo, how many embryos you are transferred? Previously, we are writing in form number I.
I'll tell you. Just give me 1 second. I'll explain to you. See, what has happened is that the consent forms background, what is that? Consent form journey started from 2010. 2010, we had, I think, 16 consent forms which were available to us, and they were numbered from A to, I think, S, A to R, S, T, T. That went to T1, T1, T2. They went till T. That was in 2010. Now, somewhere around 2016, surrogacy and ART was separated. And then we had separate acts coming up. When the acts came, the acts don't come with the forms. The forms came in the rules. So you got the consent forms somewhere, proper consent forms in the rules in the month of March for the ART as well as surrogacy. Now the number of forms given in the rule book, which came in March, they are around 10 to 15 in both the cases. But when you go to the notification, number of forms are limited. There are 4 to 5 forms. There are only 5 forms in surrogacy, and I think 6, 7 forms in ART. The forms which are not there, you have to pick up those forms from the rule book of 22.
Yeah.
They have got all the forms. In fact, it's so beautiful that from the consent of a minor to the accent forms, and Shivani will agree, Dr. Survin is there. I think all the forms are there already. Just go through the rule book for the consent forms, and then you combine the consent forms in the notifications. The changes whenever they change anything in the consent in the rule book, they bring out the notification. So all the other consent forms in the rule book, they stand. So please download March 22 surrogacy, March 22 ART. All the forms are there.
Yes, sir. All the forms are there. In fact, you have to keep a hisab of each and every egg and each and every embryo. Even the one you discard, you have to keep hisab of everything. There is no question of missing anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you,
now we have to be very, very careful about taking our consents. They cannot be casual. Witnesses have to be there. There has to be somebody who has been nominated. If you're doing freezing, then that person has to be nominated. That in case something happens to you, who's taking the embryo? Even a third person has to be there in the forms.
Correct. Absolutely. I think Shivani you gave a lovely presentation, and it was one of the best presentations ever heard. Really, very, very.
My God. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, for the magistrate sign, does the couple and donor bank any agent has to go? Or we
For
have to
the
go?
signature in front of the Metropolitan Magistrate, the couple has to go. They don't have to take the donor. They don't have to take the ART bank. Don't stop using the word agent. They don't like the word agent.
Yeah.
So we
Donor
must
ART
stop
bank.
using the word agent. Everybody's administrative staff. There are no agents. We don't know any agents at all. And in front of the MM, it has to be the couple with a lawyer who is going and taking the signature. Nobody else is required.
Then how much they're charging, madam, for that?
I don't know. It is variable. You know, I've heard anywhere between 30,000, 20,000. People are charging even more, but around
I've
this
heard
much.
even 70,000. Even 70.
Yeah, but the lawyer that we are using is very reasonable. So it's not.
No, Shivani, lawyers cannot charge that money. Lawyers are doing their work as per the act. See, we are confusing. In case you go through some middleman, then you'll have to pay them money. You go to a district magistrate. Now, who is the DM? Judicial magistrate is part of the criminal court, as you very rightly brought out. So they have taken up all our acts, and surrogacy boards are looking at judicial magistrate, who's basically a criminal lawyer. They are the people who don't warn you, they punish you. So same thing, in case you go to them, you pay some amount of convenience fee, but they are not charging money for, they can't overcharge you.
No, the magistrate doesn't charge.
Yeah, the intermediate.
But it's difficult to get to the magistrate.
So
it's the person who, the lawyer who goes to the magistrate who charges.
Yeah, so all the big companies now, they have hired their own lawyers. We have got our own solicitors. We have hired at Villa Fertility. We are doing it. We have got our own people now who have been hired, and they facilitate. So you don't pay so much of money. In case you are going through some third parties, vendors, then you'll pay so much of money.
No, sir. Any lawyer that you hire, if Birla, such a huge institute, is hiring a hi-fi lawyer, their fees are going to be hi-fi, sir. They are not. No lawyer is going to work without any payment.
When you go to any court to get your house deed
registered. No, the payment, as Dr. Surveen said, the payment is not end to any magistrate or anybody, but it is to a lawyer who's providing you the service of taking you. Because a normal couple will have no clue what is an MM like us. We know it now. Otherwise, where we also had any clue about all this?
It's all done now. Affidavits have been made, insurance papers have been made. So now there is no question of paying so much of money. Affidavits are available everywhere. Insurances are available, as you brought out. So now those middlemen, they don't go to a vakil, they come to you. So you just guide them to a particular guy and he will just take them there and get it done. So when you go for your house registry, you don't pay money, you only pay rupees.
Yes, you are right, sir. Many of my patients, even themselves, they know through some contacts MM, so they get things organized on their own. But there are people who don't know anybody, like foreigners who come, sometimes they need help. So maybe if they consult a lawyer, the lawyer can take the charges. Otherwise, as you rightly said, there is no payment.
No payment at all. Thank you so much. Sorry for interjecting, but I thought I must.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's very informative. And what are the charges for the insurance, sir, ma'am?
That okay, sure.
नहीं sir, ये तो basic insurance है 5,000-6,000 rupees. You get a 1-year insurance policy. And I don't know, मतलब आप कौन सा use कर रहे हैं insurance company?
Insurance के अंदर ना अभी भी there is no defined insurance for OPU. In case you go to the insurances, all the insurances, they come with red herring prospectus. They've got around 50 clauses. One of the clauses, in case you read deeply, says post-operative. See, all the insurances, they normally cover, they don't cover surgeries, they cover medical complications. So here what we are facing is that any post-operative complication will be covered. Now, what type of post-operative complication is not exemplified. So we say that when we're getting an insurance done, हमने OPU किया है और OPU की complication cover होंगी. But it is still not very well defined. We don't have any insurance which is covering postpartum complications of surrogacy, during surrogacy, or any complications of OPU. Complications of OPU are not only surgical complications. There are multiple complications like ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, or there can be multiple hemorrhages can be there, or there can be, there can be DICs. So these things are still not covered. They're in gray zone. And most important thing, guys, you have to know is that this insurance earliest to get is after 7 to 8 days. Once you buy an insurance today, that insurance will be activated after earliest 7 to 8 or 9 days. Now, in case you do start a procedure today and you get the insurance done today, you get your magistrate, class 1 judicial magistrate's permission taken today, your case will be done after 10th day. After 10th, 12th day, when you do the pickup and there is a death or there's a complication, now the insurance companies can say this is due to a preceding problem. This is you have done the ovarian hyperstimulation 10 days prior. So 7 days prior to this insurance coming into play. So there's a big problem here. It's not so simple. We still have to get an insurance in case you do it rightly. Insurance says that today onwards any complication is accepted. Otherwise, when you go to court of law, they will say, आपने केस तो शुरू करा है ovarian hyperstimulation का, आपने COH करा है, इसमें ऐसा होता है, इतना % ऐसा होता है, हम कवर नहीं करेंगे इसको. See, this is not a very simple thing. We are dealing it day in, day out. We still don't have any insurance in our country which starts on day one, because donors are once in lifetime. The ideal method of this is that we do all the insurance, all the coverage is done in this month of August, and in September we start their case. Only then that insurance will be actually valid as per the court of law. I'll end my thoughts here. Just think about it, what I've told you.
Very true, sir. So many things are gray area, and really we have no clue. We feel like we are thrown in the middle of a, ocean, and we are just trying to find a way, trying to stay afloat. So it is a lot of gray areas there.
Actually, I think the government has to better define what they want. There has to be a protocol, a process set in place by the government on how donors are to be done. Maybe you are to select them 1 month before, take the insurance and do it after 1 month, so that donor will be bound. The problem here is that the donors go away.
Yes.
They don't stay. Ek mahina
Yes.
you will take a donor. She will be nowhere to be seen after 1 month. You will have spent on the certificate and the insurance. You will be looking for her. That is the whole problem here.
It's a big problem we are facing. It's not very simple, because we are banking upon one thing, that the chance of a OPU getting into an ICU due to either ovarian hyperstimulation or a hemorrhage is so remote that we are playing with it. But in case you get caught, this insurance may not help you.
Yeah, there was one death in Noida, I think.
2 days back. No, 2 days back, something happened.
Yeah.
Purveen, you have taken up the case with the government of India. Aapne represent kara tha. What happened to that? You have written to government of India about the
From IFS?
Hanji, ma'am. Aapne likha tha
We
na?
didn't get a reply. We haven't got a reply.
Great. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, as we are taking from the AIT bank, with AIT bank also they will go away, because they are coming, they are giving the ID and all everything. And
Not at all. ART Bank is here to stay. Without ART Bank, you cannot take any donor gamete. And ART Bank cannot do anything for surrogacy. That they are not allowed, because surrogacy directly patient has to get the surrogate mother. No banks or middlemen involved. Directly patient, and take it in writing from the patient that they have got the surrogate mother directly, not through any intermediates.
Yeah, no, not for the surrogate, ma'am. Because we are taking all the donors from the AIT bank. So if once we have selected, they have given us one donor, and we are starting the stimulation after 1 month, having all the documents completed. Is there any chance they will go away? Because this AIT bank are responsible to give us the donor, no?
They run away. That is what Dr. Surveen was pointing out. The donor has come today. She has got her period. You want to, finalize her. You start stimulation, because otherwise next month she is nowhere to be found. And the thing is that if the patient gets her own donor also, even then you cannot just start her stimulation. She has to go to register with ART bank. They have to pay the administration charges of the bank. They have to pay. Then you can take the donors. You can't take a donor directly.
No, that is true. Okay, ma'am.
If ART bank is providing donors, so insurance will be done by the ART bank, or we have to do that?
ART bank is doing insurance in our cases, or the patient is doing the insurance by themselves, or some egg donor already has an insurance policy which is running, then we have used that insurance policy.
But legally on the paper, the patient is supposed to do it for the donor, and nobody else is involved.
Because we are just asking to ART banks, like ART banks are outside, so we ask them to send donors. They send stimulated donors to us, but they don't send the insurance policy.
You can't do then. You can't do. Yeah,
Shivani, I have just one, dilemma. That form which you showed, the affidavit form, it mentions the doctor, it mentions the institute, but that has not been asked for by the government. And when we mention our names there, we start getting responsible in that affidavit. Actually, that affidavit is between the donor and the patient. So, in my opinion, it's better to leave our name out and our institute name, because nowhere has the government asked us to put all those things. Tomorrow,
Very
the patient
true.
will say, you know, this doctor counseled me, so I got the insurance done. She told me this much is to be done. So that we are documenting in the affidavit. You can ask your lawyer what he feels about it, because I actually feel that we shouldn't be putting our names there.
Yeah, very true. I completely agree. I am also totally opposed to that. I mean, they should have more, role of the bank and all these kind of things. Why are they involving the doctor in all this?
So
Yes, yes,
affidavit
It's
is between
non-medical
patient and
people
donor.
who should be in that. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, this is how they have made it. So right now we are doing it.
But you can get it altered, you know, because once the doctor's name starts coming in, the doctor gets totally responsible in this whole
Exactly. That
process.
has to have non-medical names. Even I agree completely.
because if the
And
reality
about
banks are
the
providing
counseling that
donors,
the
so it's
doctor
their
has
responsibility.
counseled, it means that you're taking the full responsibility of the amount of insurance being done and for what purpose. Whereas the amount is nowhere defined in the bill. Technically, the patient says that, okay, the doctor has told me to get this insurance done, and it's okay with her because she knows the medical complications. I don't. So just ask your lawyers what they feel about this particular thing.
Okay. Okay.
No, Mansi, it's very clear. There is no affidavit in the market. There is no affidavit given by Government of India. It's only that we doctors are taking the decision, making the affidavit. We are in a hurry. See, so we are designing our own affidavits. Every institute in Delhi will have their own affidavits. They'll have their own sense of. I've read nearly every policy. Gone through the policies completely with my legal team. There is so what Dr. Surveen brought out, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. Is between the donor and the bank. We are nowhere involved in that, because we are getting involved in that because our banks are not organized. उनको नहीं पता क्या करना है. So we are trying to somehow get into it. And what's happening is that,
and you know, even the thing about saying that, okay, it has been explained that the rights are fully of the patient, not mine. All that is extra stuff which I feel that we should not put in, because the more stuff we put in, the more responsible we get for these things.
Very right, very right. What is happening is that the people have taken the donors as their employees, in case you know. The people who are getting good donors continuously, which is not right, that donors they have employed in their companies. So उनके सबके donors के उन्होंने insurance करा रखे. So their insurance is on all the time. So there is no right. The insurance has to be initiated on day one of when we are initiating a case. That's the right way, or 1 month prior. So all their donors are employed in their company. So they have donors ready with their insurance. So that's not the right way also. I think we'll take some more time. There are some gray areas, and I think we'll have some clarity over this.
Yeah. Sir, donors have to be married or unmarried. Unmarried also can be given because it's not clarified in the notification.
No, married. It's clarified.
Ever married. एक चीज use होती है ever married.
Very clearly clarified. Married with at least one child with age group of 23 to 35 years. Very, very clear. They are,
Yeah.
Okay.
Very wonderful webinar, and very informative and eye-opener for all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am. And before the Dr. Anuradha, Dr. Purvi will give the vote of thanks, I want to declare the results of today's quiz. The gynecologist who logged it from the Core Connect, the winners are Dr. Kiranakshi Seth from Ahmedabad, Dr. Shiravanti Banam from Vizag, and Dr. Madhu from Jalandhar. So congratulations to the winner, and we will displaying their photographs in our next webinar. Thank you so much for participating in the webinar.
congratulations to all.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you, ma'am. Really, it was very informative and eye-opening.
On behalf of, yes, ma'am. On behalf of the organizing team, I am immensely thankful to Dr. Prakriti Verma ma'am for her efforts towards this successful webinar. Dr. Pankaj Talwar sir, thank you for your guidance and elegance of explanation of the context. It was so amazing listening to you. I would also like to mention my deepest sense of appreciation to Dr. Preeti Agarwal ma'am. I would like to extend thanks to Dr. Sushma Verma ma'am. What a lovely interaction it was, always making it so enthusiastic. Dr. Shivani Sadeh ma'am, indeed you have made this event unforgettable with your best efforts and wonderful knowledge. Professor Sudhir, thank you for clearing our concepts and enhancing our knowledge. I'm running short of words to express my humble thanks to Dr. Anuradha Tibrewal ma'am for the amazing session. Also, thank you to the wonderful audience, the Indian Fertility Society team, the sponsors, and for making the CME from plan to achievement. Thanks a lot, everyone. A very good evening to everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you,
nice day.
Purvi. Thank
Bye.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Corona, for this
Bye.
wonderful platform and everybody who's here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.